Chapter 19. Destroy to Live. Bond looked anxiously at the concentric circles on the radar scope. They moved as innocently and treacherously as the ripples left by a drowning man. How do we know they haven't already re-entered? We don't. Holly pummeled the controls and the Moonraker hurled itself through space. Look, that's them. Holly glanced knowingly at the 3 pinpoints on the screen. The one nearest the centre of the circles pulsed the most dynamically. We should make visual contact in a few seconds. You mean I should be able to see something, said Bond. Why the hell don't you speak English? He looked down at the ranging screen of the laser gun. And how do you fire this thing? Very accurately, if you want to save our lives. Holly took her eyes off the controls to glance out of the forward window. Have you ever been to a fairground? 2 red images will appear on that screen. They represent us and the individual nerve gas globes. Manipulate the 2 knobs until the circles overlap. They will then turn into 1 green circle. That means you are on target. Then press the fire button. I'll switch you onto automatic and program through the positions of the spheres. She spoke urgently, but without any edge of panic. Bond, who loved order and calm in a woman, loved her at that moment. He looked ahead and saw something glinting in space. Here you are. Bond looked down at the ranging screen and saw that 2 red circles had indeed appeared. Their movement was reassuringly slow. A quick correction of the right-hand knob and 1 circle drifted into the path of the other. Red turned to green and Bond pressed the buttons embedded in the centre of each control knob. A flash of blinding white light knifed out from the nose of the Moonraker and the green circle disappeared. The screen was empty. Bond looked ahead. Whatever had been glinting was not there any more. A sitting bird, said Bond. Holly did not turn her head to bestow congratulations. They'll begin to flap their wings in a minute. As if to prove her words, the Moonraker began to shake violently. We're skipping on the Earth's atmosphere. Bond knew what that meant. Very much lower, and they would start to burn up like the space station. Their angle of descent was totally wrong for re-entry. He glanced at the ranging screen. 2 more red circles had appeared. They were dancing like ping-pong balls on the surface of a saucepan of boiling water. He began to aim urgently. The red circles crossed momentarily and then swam away again. The green image had held for a fraction of a second. Bond wiped the sweat from his eyes and concentrated again. Around him the atmosphere was becoming unbearably hot. Holly was staring out of the forward window, her lips pressed tight. We're in range. I know that, dammit. Bond's fingers tensed against the 2 rangefinders. Another violent shudder ran through the Moonraker. Suddenly the shaking eased. He twisted the knobs violently. Sweat dropped on the screen. Come on, my beauties. It was like some game found in a Christmas stocking. Only on its result depended the lives of 100 million people. 2 red arcs crossed each other and the area of intersection widened towards the formation of 1 complete circle. Bond held his breath. If his heart was beating, he could not feel it. Red on red became green, and his fingers thrust against the steel nipples. The snake's tongue of light scythed through the air. The screen went blank. How am I doing? You're winning. Holly's voice was tense. She looked at the control panel and bit her lip. Her face was glistening with sweat. Bond touched the side of the cabin wall and cried out. They were being roasted, as if in an oven. He moved his feet to rest them on his heels. The ranging screen was empty. Pass me the next one. I have. The ranging screen was still empty. On the radar scope, only the faintest pinpoint could be seen. The Moonraker was bouncing like a ball rolling down a corrugated iron roof. A frightening brown tint was spreading through the perspex of the forward window. He could smell something burning. Soon, it would be him. Where the hell is it? Bond followed Holly's eyes to the control panel. On the upper right-hand side, 3 separate needles were showing against the danger mark. Red lights were flashing all over the console. Everything was showing red except the ranging screen. Holly spoke grimly. We've got another 50,000 feet. If we don't catch up with it by then, we'll burn out. Bond looked at the altimeter. 250,000 feet. 240,000 feet. They were dropping at an angle that was suicidal for re-entry, but they had no alternative. It was either that or leave 100 million people to die. There it is! 2 red circles started to dance crazily on the screen. Holly was looking ahead to a tiny red sun bobbing in the distance. Bond knew why it was red. It was beginning to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere, just like them. The red circles lurched towards each other and there was a flash of green. Bond pressed. The circles stayed on the screen, red. Holly cried out in pain as she jabbed at the controls. "I can't hold this course much longer. We'll break up." Bond said nothing. 220,000 feet. His eyes were almost falling out of his head. The heat was agonizing. The two circles overlapped momentarily, and there was another stab of green. He pressed instantly. Again, too late. The two circles rolled around the screen like socketless eyes mocking his ineptitude. A shrill, high-pitched buzz rang out from somewhere on the control panel. A whole section of lights began to blink in unison. 200,000 feet. Death, here's thy sting. "I'm losing the controls. The wings are starting to burn." Bond concentrated on the circles. They might be the last thing he ever concentrated on. The Moonraker was being shaken up and down as if by a giant hand. The noise from the control panel was ear-splitting. Distracting red lights flashed at the extremities of his vision. Smoke was billowing under his nose. His heels were on fire. Holly was crying out in pain. Bond strove to stay in control of his senses. The two circles performed kangaroo jumps and then moved into the same orbit. Come on, damn you. It was like watching a putt hover on the lip of a hole. A putt with 100 million lives riding on it. The circles trembled and then mounted each other to give birth to green. Bond pressed hot metal and looked out of the forward window. An arrow of white light streaked towards a white circle tinged with red. The circle disappeared. A violent explosion seemed to throw the Moonraker upwards, and Bond saw Holly haul on the control column. Then he passed out.